Long before Annabelle and Anaya were born, their mothers were close friends. Ruth, Annabelle's mother, and Adeshua, Anaya's mother, lived on the same street in a quiet neighborhood in Port Harcourt. They were both pregnant at the same time and often went to the clinic together. People in the area called them the twin bellies. One rainy afternoon, Ruth went into labor. She was rushed to the local hospital, panting in pain. Just a few hours later, Adeshua started feeling contractions too. Before sunrise the next day, both women had given birth. Ruth had a beautiful baby girl she named Annabelle, and Adeshua also had a baby girl, Anaya. The two girls grew up like sisters. They crawled on the same floor, learned to walk holding each other's hands, and took their first school pictures side by side. Annabelle and Anaya started primary school at Sunrise Academy. They sat together, played together, and even got punished together. Annabelle was calm and kind. Anaya, on the other hand, was more playful and stubborn, but she loved Annabelle deeply. Their favorite game was cooking with sand and bottle covers in front of their houses. On weekends, their parents would take them to the market together or the nearby amusement park. Everyone admired how close they were. People would say, "These girls must have known each other from heaven." When they got to secondary school, nothing changed. They went to Crown Heights Secondary School, wore the same hairstyle every week, and helped each other study. But by SS3, life started changing. Ruth got a better job in Abuja, and Annabelle's family moved away. Anaya stayed in Port Harcourt with her parents. The girls cried on the day they parted. They promised to always stay in touch, but after some time, the calls became less frequent. Then the messages stopped altogether. Annabelle gained admission to study accounting at a top university in Lagos. She stayed focused, kept good friends like Sandra and Sarah, and graduated with honors. After NYSC, she got a job at a multinational company and later married James, a calm, successful engineer. Anaya, however, went to a university in Benin. Without Annabelle's influence, she started following the wrong crowd. She joined a group of girls who introduced her to clubs, sugar daddies, and rituals. Anaya became someone different. She was no longer the playful, sweet girl Annabelle once knew. After school, things got worse. No steady job. No stable relationship. She visited different herbalists and spiritualists, searching for quick solutions. Nothing worked. It had been almost 9 years since Annabelle and Anaya last saw each other. Life had taken them on very different paths. One bright Saturday morning, Annabelle was at Port Harcourt Mall, not for business, but because she had recently moved back to the city. James, her husband, had gotten a job transfer, and they decided to settle in Port Harcourt to raise their young son. As Annabelle pushed her shopping cart down the toiletries aisle, she heard someone call out from behind. "Annabelle, is this really you?" She turned, puzzled, then froze. It was Anaya. They both screamed with excitement and hugged each other tightly, laughing like little girls. They stood there in shock, eyes wide, voices trembling. "Look at you. It's been forever," Annabelle said. "I almost didn't recognize you," Anaya replied. They found a quiet corner near the food court and sat down to catch up. Annabelle shared that she was married now, had a toddler, and had just moved into a new apartment. She spoke about her job at a multinational company and how her life had become busy but fulfilling. Anaya smiled politely, but her eyes looked tired. "I came back to Port Harcourt 2 weeks ago," she said. "Things haven't really gone the way I hoped. I've been looking for work and a place to stay. Staying with someone I barely know now. It's not easy." Annabelle didn't hesitate. Her heart melted instantly. "Why didn't you say so earlier? Come and stay with me," she offered. "At least until you find your feet. That's what friends are for." Anaya smiled, a slow, strange kind of smile. "Thank you, Annabelle. You've always been an angel." But deep in her heart, she wasn't smiling at all. Anaya moved into Annabelle's house the next day. Annabelle cleared the guest room for her, gave her a set of keys, and even added her to the family's meal plan. James, Annabelle's husband, was polite and didn't complain, though he was a little surprised by how fast the decision was made. At first, everything seemed normal. Anaya helped around the house, smiled often, and even played with Annabelle's toddler. She told Annabelle stories about university life, skipped over some painful parts, and acted like she was grateful. But slowly, things started changing. Annabelle began having random arguments with James. Little things that never used to matter turned into big fights. At work, Annabelle missed a deadline for the first time. Her boss gave her a warning. She was always tired, drained, confused. She couldn't understand what was happening. Her routine was the same, but nothing felt right anymore. Then her toddler, usually cheerful, started waking up at night, crying and pointing toward the guest room. Anaya started spending more time in the kitchen alone. Sometimes, Annabelle would walk in and see her muttering to herself, pouring powdered herbs into pots. When asked, Anaya would laugh and say, "It's just local seasoning. My mum taught me." One evening after dinner, James mentioned something that made Annabelle sit up straight. "Anaya said you've been going out a lot lately," he said. "She said you came back smelling like men's cologne the other day. Is everything okay?" Annabelle was shocked. "That's not true. I've only been to work and back." James looked confused. "She said she saw you with someone in a car. I didn't want to believe it." That night, Annabelle couldn't sleep. Why would Anaya say that? Why would she lie? And more importantly, what was she really doing in this house? The next week was worse. Annabelle's car stopped on her way to a big work presentation. She lost the contract. James started avoiding her. Their home felt cold, heavy, like something invisible was pressing down on everyone. Then, late one night, Annabelle went to the kitchen for water, and saw the guest room door slightly open. Inside, she saw Anaya kneeling on the floor, with a red cloth on her head, surrounded by candles. Annabelle's breath caught in her throat. Anaya turned sharply and saw her. They stared at each other in silence. Annabelle stepped back and went straight to her bedroom, locked the door, and didn't say a word. That night, Annabelle cried. Not loudly. Just soft tears that soaked her pillow. She knelt by her bed and said a short, broken prayer. "God, please. I don't know what's happening to me. Show me." She eventually drifted to sleep, and that's when the dream came. In the dream, she saw her old childhood home. She saw herself and Anaya playing with bottle caps again. But then, the image shifted. She saw a dark room. A red cloth. A woman's face, twisted with jealousy. Then a bright light appeared. It was an old woman in white. She spoke calmly but firmly. "You opened your door with love, but she entered with a different plan. You must act now or lose everything." Annabelle woke up shaking. She now knew the truth. The next morning, Annabelle called her mother, Ruth. She told her everything, from the moment she met Anaya at the mall, to the fights with James, to the dream. Her mother was silent for a long time. Then she said, "Annabelle, you did well by showing love. But not everyone deserves access to your peace. You must send her out, today, before she completes what she came to do." Annabelle had never heard her mother speak like that. She hung up and sat on the edge of her bed, heart pounding. She didn't want to believe Anaya could go this far. But deep down she knew. Annabelle waited until evening. When Anaya returned from wherever she had gone, Annabelle asked her to sit. The house was quiet. "Anaya," Annabelle began softly, "I need you to leave tomorrow." Anaya blinked. "Why? Did I do something wrong?" Annabelle didn't argue. She didn't cry. She just said, "You know what you came here for. But it ends now." Anaya's smile slowly faded. Her eyes changed, cold and sharp. She stood up, walked toward the guest room, and didn't say a word. That night, the house felt heavy again. But different. Like a storm had just passed. Annabelle didn't sleep. She sat on the couch with her Bible in her lap, whispering prayers until dawn. By morning, the house was silent. Annabel waited. Her eyes were swollen from staying up all night. James had left early for work, without speaking much, their relationship still cold. At 9:12 a.m., Anaya came out of the guest room with a small red bag. No makeup. No smile. No warmth. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't say thank you. She walked past Annabel, opened the door, and left. The second the door clicked shut, a strange feeling lifted from the house. The heaviness. The confusion. The tension. It was like something invisible had walked out with her. Annabel stood still for a long time. Then she went into the guest room. The guest room smelled of strange perfume. Not regular body spray. Something herbal and old. Annabel began to clean the room, removing the bedsheet and sweeping under the bed. That was when she found it. A small black nylon bag, tucked behind the curtain. Inside was a red cloth, a woman's photograph with the eyes scratched out, ashes, and a piece of paper with Annabel's name written in red ink. Her hands shook. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She quietly walked outside and burned everything. Then she went back in, knelt down, and whispered, "Thank you, God. I almost gave her full access to my life." In the days that followed, peace slowly returned. James began talking to her again. Their conversations became warmer, like they used to be. At work, her manager suddenly reversed the warning letter and gave her a new opportunity. A big contract in Abuja. Even her toddler stopped waking up crying at night. He laughed more, ate more, slept more. One evening, Annabel was on the balcony with a cup of tea when her close friend Sandra called. "How far, babe? I've been thinking of coming to Port Harcourt. We need a proper girls' hangout." Annabel smiled. "Please come. I need good energy around me right now." They laughed. But after the call, Annabel thought for a long time. Not all friends are meant to return. Some are better left in the past, where they belong. But that wasn't the end. One night, 3 weeks after Anaya left, Annabel received a call from an unknown number. She almost didn't pick, but something told her to answer. "Hello," she said. Silence. Then a voice, cold and bitter. "You think you've won? You pushed me out, but I'm not done." It was Anaya. Annabel froze. Before she could say anything, the call ended. That night, Annabel didn't sleep. Not out of fear, but out of spiritual awareness. She knew this was deeper than she thought. This wasn't just about friendship. It was war. But she also knew one thing clearly now. She would never be caught off guard again. Annabel sat in the living room, holding her phone, replaying that voice in her head. "You think you've won? You pushed me out, but I'm not done." She stood up. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, but from anger. "Why, Anaya?" she whispered. "What did I ever do to you? I gave you my home, my peace, my kindness. Why are you still fighting me?" She walked into the kitchen and slammed a cup into the sink. Her son woke up crying in the next room, and she quickly ran to calm him. But deep in her heart, her thoughts were boiling. After putting her child back to sleep, Annabel called Sandra and told her everything. The charm, the dream, the call. Sandra was silent for a moment. Then she said, "Annabel, she hates you, because your life turned out okay. Hers didn't." Annabel's chest tightened. "But we were the same," she said. "We had the same childhood. I worked hard. I stayed focused. Why punish me for that?" Sandra replied, "That's exactly why. You remind her of what she could have been." That night, Annabel sat on her bed with her photo album. Childhood pictures. Their first day in school. Matching braids. Birthday cakes. Playing in the rain. Where did I lose her? She asked herself. Then it hit her. Anaya changed the moment they separated. While Annabel had stable parents and strong support, Anaya had faced problems quietly. Her father lost his job. Her mother got sick. Nobody told Annabel all this. Maybe Anaya didn't want pity. Maybe she just felt left behind. And slowly, that pain turned into jealousy. The next morning, as Annabel cleaned out the guest room again, she found something she hadn't seen before. Tucked behind the top drawer was a small, black notebook. Anaya's handwriting filled the pages. Some pages had strange drawings. Others were full of pain. But one page stood out. She has everything. A good man. A big job. Peace. Meanwhile, I'm crawling through life. I tried everything. Fasting, prayer, even rituals. But her light is too strong. I need to dim it. Just a little. Just enough to breathe. Annabel dropped the book and sat on the bed, heart racing. So it was true. It wasn't just about evil. It was about envy. Pure, bitter envy. Later that day, Annabel lit a candle in the living room and knelt to pray. But this time, she wasn't crying. She was angry. Fed up. God, I did nothing but show love. I gave her my home. She used it against me. I won't be quiet anymore. She declared peace over her family. Over her child. Over James. Over herself. Then she picked up her phone and sent a voice note to Anaya. Her voice was calm, but sharp. I don't know what pain twisted you like this, Anaya. But I won't carry your darkness. I've worked too hard to build my life. I forgave you the moment you left, but I won't let you back in. Ever again. She hit send. No reply. Not that she expected one. Things became peaceful again. Even James started planning a surprise family weekend. Sandra came visiting and brought joy and laughter into the house. But at night, Annabel couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't over. Something was still watching. Waiting. And on the morning of her company's biggest presentation, her phone rang again. Unknown number. She picked. A whisper. You're happy now, but let's see how long it lasts. Annabel froze as she held the phone. The whisper was short, but sharp, like a blade. You're happy now, but let's see how long it lasts. She didn't say a word. She ended the call and stared at the screen. This was no longer just about envy. This was a silent war. A war she didn't start, but had to finish. That morning, she showed up at work, prepared to lead her company's biggest presentation. But just minutes before stepping into the boardroom, she received an email. Her presentation slides, the one she worked on for 2 weeks, were gone. Completely wiped. Annabel stood frozen at her desk, staring at the screen. Panic rose in her chest. But then, something in her shifted. She breathed in deeply, straightened her blazer, and walked into the boardroom without the slides. Ladies and gentlemen, she began. I was meant to present a full slide deck today, but due to technical issues, I'll do this the way I know best, from the heart. She spoke clearly, passionately. Her ideas were sharp. Her voice, steady. When she finished, the room was quiet, then filled with applause. Her manager stood up and said, Annabel, that was brilliant. The contract is ours. She smiled, but deep down she knew. Someone tried to ruin her again. That evening, Annabel told James everything. The notebook, the whisper calls, the deleted slides. James was silent at first. Then he said something that surprised her. I knew something wasn't right about her. The way she looked at you. At us. He stood up, walked to the window, and added, I feel like I let her get too close. I'm sorry. Annabel nodded. We both did. But now, we need to protect what we have. James turned back to her and said, Then let's fight this. Together. The next morning, Annabel went to visit her mother Ruth. She needed wisdom. Guidance. Ruth listened quietly as Annabel shared everything. Then, she brought out an old bottle of oil and said, This oil was given to me when you were a baby. I used it to pray over your life. I never told you, but I believe it's time you use it too. Annabel took it, tears in her eyes. "I'm ready." She returned home, and that night, with James by her side, she walked through every room of the house, praying, speaking life, anointing every door and window. It wasn't dramatic. It was calm, quiet, and full of power. But just when they thought things were getting better, something strange happened. At 3:11 a.m., their son screamed in his sleep. Annabel rushed in. His little body was cold and stiff. He was shaking, pointing to the corner of the room. Dark woman, he whispered. James held him tightly while Annabel prayed out loud, not caring if the neighbors heard. After 10 minutes, the boy calmed down and slept again. But Annabel knew this was the last straw. The next morning, Annabel didn't go to work. She stayed home with her son and called in sick. But really, she just needed time to fight back the right way. She opened every window in the house. No music, no noise, just silence and prayer. She anointed her child, her husband, every room, and herself. Then she went outside, stood on the balcony, and spoke into the air. "Anaya, you've tried. But this is where it ends. I will not fear you. I will not run. You came for my peace, but now I'm fighting for it. And I won't lose." Later that day, her phone rang again. It was the same unknown number. She answered. No sound. Then, Anaya's voice, soft and tired. "You're stronger than I thought." Annabel didn't respond. Anaya continued. "I lost everything, Annabel. And watching you win made me hate you. But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong." Annabel finally spoke. "You need help, Anaya. Real help. Stop fighting people who care. That war will bury you if you keep going." There was silence again. Then the call dropped. That was the last time Annabel ever heard her voice. Peace returned fully. No more whispers. No more nightmares. James and Annabel renewed their marriage vows quietly. Just the two of them and their little boy in a garden. Annabel got promoted at work. She joined a women's group that supported young girls through mentorship, so that no one else would grow up bitter, broken, and jealous like Anaya. She never forgot her. But she also never allowed her spirit back into her life. Some friendships are only safe in the past. One evening, while tucking her son into bed, he asked, "Mummy, is the dark woman gone?" Annabel smiled softly and kissed his forehead. "She's gone. And she's not coming back." As she turned off the lights, her heart was full. Not because her life was perfect, but because she finally understood. Kindness is not weakness. But wisdom is knowing who deserves your kindness, and who only came to destroy it. Not every old friend deserves a new place in your life. People change, some grow, some break, and some carry hidden pain that turns into jealousy. Be kind, but be wise. Protect your home, your peace, and your joy. Learn to recognize when someone no longer belongs in your space, no matter how far back your history goes. A helping hand is good, but a helping hand without discernment can destroy everything you've built. Now it's your turn. What did you learn from this story? What are your thoughts about Annabel and Anaya's friendship? Have you ever had a friend who changed for the worse? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want more real-life inspired African folktales like this, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories.